Welcome back to another weekly video lesson. My name is Annie. I'm one of the registered dietitians here with KU Weight Management, and this week we are going to be briefly walking through the main points of the Exercise 201 lesson. So we are going to build upon the information we learned in the Exercise 101 lesson and hopefully give you more specific recommendations in terms of exercise. And then we're also going to discuss some more specifics about strength training and how you can add that into your exercise routine. So our initial goal with previous lessons was to give you the tools to set goals and to make an exercise plan just to get you to increase your exercise minutes and increase your overall activity level. And this lesson this week will give you more specifics about how to kind of fine-tune your exercise routine and maybe even give you some more specific goals in terms of exercise minutes you should be reaching each week. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's go ahead and start with the specific exercise guidelines currently. So right now the exercise guidelines are between 150 and 300 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise per week, or 75 to 150 minutes per week if that exercise is more vigorous in intensity. Now, you can see that that's a big range. So we see in research that towards that 150 minutes per week or 75 minutes per week is the lower range of that scale, and that's where we see just general health benefits. So lower chronic disease risk, lower blood pressure, increased mood, better sleep, things of that nature. Now, if you go to the bigger end of the scale where you're getting 150 minutes of vigorous exercise or 300 minutes of moderate intensity exercise, that's where we see more of a weight loss benefit and more benefit just in terms of overall weight management. So anywhere in that scale, you're going to get those health benefits, but closer towards the 150 minutes of that moderate intensity exercise is going to be more so for general health, and then closer to that 300 minutes per week of moderate intensity exercise is what we recommend in weight management. And of course, we want you to work up to that gradually, so that's an important piece to remember as well. Now, we also want to add in at least 2 strength training days to your exercise routine, especially if you've established your exercise routine and are doing mostly cardio-based exercises. In order to maintain and even gain lean muscle mass, we really want to add at least 2 strength training sessions per week, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later today. Now, we need to go back to kind of our why behind exercise. Why do we talk about this so much in our program, and why is it so important in weight management or just in general health? So what we see is that exercise is a really good predictor of long-term success with weight management. So it can be really helpful in terms of energy expenditure. So it helps us with that energy in, energy out equation. And it also can change our body composition. So we really want to maintain and gain that lean muscle mass instead of having more fat mass. So the reason we come back to exercise so often throughout our program is because we do see that it's a really good predictor of weight loss success and also weight maintenance. So once you reach your weight loss goals, to then maintain your success throughout life, we know that we need that exercise component there. So those are more specifics on minutes of exercise that we want to be hitting per week, and I'll repeat those here. If you are doing moderate intensity exercise, we're going to want 150 to 300 minutes per week. If you're doing vigorous exercise, we're going to want between 75 and 150 minutes per week. And on the lower end of those ranges is where we just get general health benefits, which are great. And then on the more time-consuming end of that scale is where we see more weight management benefits. So next, we're actually going to talk a little bit more about specifics about strength training and creating your own strength training routine. One thing that I think is going to be important for us to touch on is the principles of strength training. So whether you're someone who has already added strength to their exercise routine or someone who's curious about getting started, these are relevant pieces of information for you to consider. So we're going to cover 3 principles today of strength training. First being specificity. So what this means is basically train specifically for the outcome that you're desiring. So if you're someone who just wants to improve general strength, improve their metabolic health, that goal of 2 or more strength training sessions per week is a great place to start. And then also just making sure that you're working all muscle groups equally. Just general kind of basic strength training fundamentals. Now, but if you're someone who wants to train for a 5K, for example, to either walk or jog or run a 5K, then you would want to tailor your training to that specific goal. So be specific with your training based on what you want your outcome to be. But it's also okay if you don't have a super specific fitness goal in mind. Second is overload and progression. So our bodies adapt over time as we're building strength. So it's important to kind of manipulate your strength training routine in certain ways as you progress over time. So you can manipulate your strength training routine in a few different ways. A few examples would be you can adjust the volume of exercise, you can adjust the intensity of your exercise, or you can even change the frequency of your exercise, so how often you're doing those strength training routines. So keep that in mind as you are progressing and you're noticing changes in your strength level, and make sure you're continually building upon that and challenging yourself. The last principle that I want to cover is rest and recovery. So it's important to give your muscles or muscle groups 48 hours to recover before working them again. The reason behind that is because when you are exercising, you're actually breaking down those muscles. And then what we see is that strength is built in the recovery as they're able to build back up. So we don't want to continually be challenging those groups and never giving them a chance to recover. So make sure you're spacing out your strength training sessions to give those muscle groups 48 hours to rest. So those are 3 principles to consider with strength training, and we're actually going to next talk about how to create your own strength training routine. All right, so let's say you are ready to create your own strength training routine. Here are some things to consider to get you started, because I recognize it can be kind of overwhelming at first to even know how to begin. So some things you need to decide before you start your workout that day. You want to decide how many sessions you're going to be doing. So the recommendations are at least 2 strength training sessions per week. So consider that. You want to choose which days you're going to be exercising on, remembering that you're giving those muscle groups 48 hours to rest in between. And then you also need to decide the location you're exercising at and the equipment you'll need. So maybe you're going to the gym and will have access to all of the equipment there, or maybe you're doing at-home workouts, so you need to plan accordingly to what you have, or just do some body weight exercises. So once you plan and have those details set in stone, we can walk through maybe 2 examples of what a routine might look like for you. So if you're just starting out and you want to just do those 2 sessions for strength training each week, what I'd recommend you do is 2 full body days. So that way we know that all of the major muscle groups are going to be worked twice a week, which is in line with the recommendations. So what I mean by a full body day is you would work all the major muscle groups such as chest, arms, core, and lower body. Now, if you want to devote a little bit more time or more sessions to your strength training, maybe you decide you're going to do 4 sessions per week. And so a simple way to do that would be 1 upper body day, 1 lower body day, and then repeat 1 upper body day, 1 lower body day. So you're still allowing those muscle groups time to recover in between, and you're hitting those 4 sessions, which is your goal. So those are 2 examples of how you can get started and some things to consider when creating your own exercise routine. So that's really the main points that I wanted to cover today. Really just get into more specifics about what those exercise recommendations are and give you a range there so you can decide where you're at in terms of your goals and how much time you're going to devote to your exercise each week. And then also reiterate the importance of exercise in terms of your health and weight management. and discuss a little bit more about the principles of strength training and how to add a strength training routine to your current exercise regimen. So those are the main points for today, and I will see you next time.